Let's just go into our, there we go, cool. And we are live. Hello everyone. I am here with Jay Thomson, who is a good friend of mine and been a long mentor in the motion industry. And we are going to talk about remote working, but Jay's going to be part of the Bold&Break family. He does have some Mograph news to share with us that everyone. He shared with me yesterday. I am here with Jay Thomson, who
What's
is
that?
a good friend of mine.
What? Wait, I can hear you twice on this. Wait there. There we go. What news is that?
Oh, what news?
Right.
The Unreal Engine.
No. Oh, for God's sake! Yeah, we fucked up already.
It's grand.
I shouldn't swear, should I? So there is this. There was 2 live streams that I watched last night because I was working late, and one of them is one from Chris Smith at Rocket Lasso C4D. We'll put the link in after this video, or maybe I can put it in the chat. Actually.
Oh yeah, do definitely.
But don't go watch it. Watch us instead.
Yeah, don't need those.
I don't have the link, but I'll put them on afterwards. But it was basically Unreal Engine. I've never really looked into it, but Chris Schmidt and Jonathan Winbush were doing this really cool sort of workflow between Unreal Engine and Cinema 4D. And for me, it was absolutely amazing to see how smooth the link between like an animation project goes between the two.
It was
cool. The keyframing as well from a cloner. You didn't have to bake any of the clones, or you have to set it to auto bake with some of the textures. But the workflow between them was absolutely amazing. I can kind of see Unreal Engine being a kind of finishing software for visual effects in the future.
Yeah, definitely. They're using it. I think was it the Mill or Frame Store? They're reusing it on a 360 screen to project environments. And they'd have some of the the senior comp artists there directing it.
No way.
Yeah, well, I think it was actually Odin that showed me that, and I was blown away. But they're using it in real time on set, so we're getting there. Yeah,
I mean, I can't figure it out why it's not, because the thing is, it's just instant.
Yeah.
Real time rendering, it's just instant. And, having used 3D software and having to go through the process of, baking out, previses and stuff like that, and going through that sort of process, you just think, well, why is it not real time? Why isn't everything not real time?
Yeah.
And there's got to be something that means, why can't they just turn Cinema 4D into real time motion design software?
I suppose the one thing I did notice in Unreal, and they'll close the gap so quickly, I think, in the next 5 years, was the global illumination was a bit I felt it lacked a little bit, a tiny bit. And I suppose the finite tweaking you get in Redshift and Octane, it can be getting those really controlled art directy stuff you might lack. They might have limitations because it's designed for games, but I can see that gap closing in 5 years easily, maybe even less, especially with the new human thing that they brought out. It's terrifying, but in a very cool way.
Yeah. Well, I instantly downloaded Unreal Engine afterwards, so it's there now, and I'm definitely going to look into learning that. There was also a second live stream that was Nick Campbell and Chad Ashley talked about camera techniques in Cinema 4D, and Chad Ashley, as you can imagine, is just he had a really cool method of just basically having a load of presets for the lenses, which makes so you can just kind of grab them and just have actual
like
presets,
almost like real world lenses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So everything just looks more photoreal naturally, just like they go into detail on that. So we'll I'll get the links for that and just put them in the comments.
So let's talk about remote work. You get to remotely work in sunny Gibraltar, while I get to remotely lock down overcast London.
Yeah. Well, it's it's 20 degrees out now.
I'm not envious
so that's
at all.
yeah, it's quite nice. I can't lie. But no, it's been an interesting experience working remotely for quite a while now, as everybody has. But I think when you've done something for such a while, you get sensitive to what works and what doesn't.
Definitely.
Because there's certainly a lot of things that don't work. But there's so many cool tools out there now that can help you with the workflow. It's nice to kind of refine them and just see.
So you were working for a company partially remote, were you? And then you've been freelancing remote. Like, how have you? What are the challenges versus working for a company and working for just a client? Like when you're working remote.
Well, I think with a company, you're always subject to what they have in place to work remotely. So with the last place I worked, they had just basically the whole Microsoft package to rely on, which Teams is okay, but they have something called SharePoint.
Okay, I've never heard that one.
Yeah, so that's the Microsoft version of like Dropbox, basically.
Okay, cool,
it's where you say, and I mean, its job is to save files and archive them. But if you upload a zip file, then it basically just deletes all the work on the zip file.
Well, but nightmare stories there, I bet.
Yeah. It was an interesting time when they found that out. That's for sure.
How long did it take to find that out?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
But so I do think that it's for bigger companies, it's kind of a necessity to kind of have everything in one place.
Yeah.
But there's Dropbox does a way better job than most, because I think they're just
they've been around longer, I think, as well.
Yeah, they've been around for longer, and I think with freelancing now, you're able to pick your own stuff to work with, and that's great. You have a bit more control over that, and you can refine it to the process that you want. So that's been great doing that.
I suppose for me, all the remote work has been freelancing, and like the positives, the challenges and the positives are they differ completely depending on the client. So if you're going in-house to an agency for 2 weeks, it can be you can almost spend a day setting up and trying to get onboarded onto their system, which can be a challenge. And then in itself, if you're working with a wider team and there's more sign-off, it can be really difficult to kind of get the message down the chain. But then, like you said, if I've worked with then just clients direct, and you can streamline it how you want to from like straight off the bat. You can kind of pick your own tools, but I suppose it's about being adaptable. I've always found Teams a bit challenging at times, especially when I started using it.
I mean, a bit like going from Slack to Teams was just like it was like going from like something really fun to something that was very regimented.
Yeah, very kind
and
of
just I do think that like having the ability of custom emojis and the way you can put GIFs in really easily does add to the communication element.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I think, you know, that's the biggest problem with remote working is communication, because it's more difficult. It is just a very difficult thing, communications, and things get misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Through not doing things face to face. And I think with Slack, for me, when somebody sends, you know, a funny applause gif or like a fun emoji, it gives an emotion.
Yeah,
You know,
it lightens
it demonstrates
the
an
mood.
emotion.
Yeah, definitely, I'd agree with that. Yeah, it definitely helps, because I suppose, like, and not everyone kind of has this when they went remote, but tone of voice is so important in the email, and and if you're just so used to kind of speaking off the cuff with people in an office, and you put that into an email, it can be completely misinterpreted.
Massively, yeah. You can say something. It can be misinterpreted. Like, say, you can be quite a blunt person.
Yeah, like myself.
Yeah, exactly. And then just not really think about it, and it can be misinterpreted in a different way, or you know, like it's the art direction as well. If you say like that spot needs to be over on the left.
Yeah.
And then you mean the wrong spot.
Yeah. Where on the left does it need to go?
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking into tools, and there's a tool called, I know Vimeo is doing a tool where you can annotate now on the videos, but there's another tool called frame.io, and it kind of like fixes that problem, because you can have an art director or creative director or production manager go in, and they can like circle where they want to change and put an arrow, and that's definitely helpful. And it's actually kind of, cause there was this kind of like, I suppose, friction sometimes with like, oh, what do you actually need? You kind of self-reflect and you go, okay, what can I do to get the message across easier? And I did that a couple of times at Vimeo, and it helped massively.
Yeah, I think I mean, for Vimeo, I've received files to have a look at on Vimeo, but I've never like used the annotation thing. I have in Frame.io though. Frame.io is just,
it looks like incredible. I haven't actually got much time with it.
It's brilliant. Like the best thing that I found with that is actually you can upload them really fast. Upload videos. Really? It's got this really special algorithm that just means the upload's just really good. So if you're doing social campaigns that are across multiple different ratios and you're uploading them all, that's really it does it really well. And the other thing with that is that it can be branded. So if you are an independent freelancer and you have your own brand, which most people do, you can customize emails that get sent out for your clients to review on, to use the annotation tool that's cool. With Frame.io. And it literally says video from such and such, and has your logo at the top of it, video in the center, and you can design and customize that. It's just really professional.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
I think in some senses, like when lockdown hit, it had a positive effect on finding tools like that we'll continue to use when lockdown ends, I think.
Definitely, yeah. I think, I think so. And there's also, it comes with its own Adobe plugin as well.
Oh, really?
So you can, so if you install this plugin, you can, so if you export, you can upload the video that you're sending to your client within After Effects, say, and you can send it to them just in there, so you don't have to go outside of After Effects to do that. And then when they feed back, it comes up on your timeline as well. So it's a streamlined process. They've really got it down. I can't recommend Frame.io enough, actually.
Cool. I'll definitely be looking into that. So what kind of I suppose the sun helps as well, but what kind of like positive personal things for like your personal life have you found from working remote? Do you think like there's more time? Do you think like what kind of like effect does it have outside of the 9 to 5?
I think the best thing is you just have more time to yourself working remotely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just those small things like, if you have a backlog of washing up to do, or something
All
like,
been there.
clothes to wash, then like whilst you've got a render going, you can hop over and do that. And
It's
I
simple
think,
things though. And that makes such a difference because when you come home and there's a pile of washing on the couch, you're just like, oh, I'm not able.
yeah. And then like I think everybody wants that, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that, it's good. And I think with where I am in the world, there's lots of beaches, there's places to go for walks, and just enjoy the outdoors, which is really good. That's for me, that's my preference for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And studies did show an increase in vitamin D is always good for the immune system. So there you go. What in terms of what's been, I suppose, the most challenging part for you? If there's anything you enjoyed about working on site, let's say, what would it have been, and what do you miss?
I definitely miss just interaction with people, because I think people like people.
Yeah. There's no substitute for human interaction.
There's but you can be quite introverted, but still enjoy a conversation.
Yeah.
And there's less of those moments now, for sure. So I think if there's anything, it's having friends in the workplace as well. So I think going forward, I think remote working is here to stay, then there has to be solutions for that companies come up with, because it can help. It can help with people's morale.
Mental health as well. I think you can feel quite lonely sometimes. I think definitely for me there was I enjoyed. There was a sense of I'd enjoy going to an agency I never worked at before. And like 9 times out of 10, I'd never kind of make a contact that I keep. But there'd be that one time where you meet someone and you click, and you end up
and you gel.
You gel, and you could there's even the possibility of collaborating in the future or getting more work, and you stick with that person, or even just gelling with someone in the agency or in the company, and there's that. I think the human connection, building up that trust. I think it's harder to build trust over a video call than it is in person, because body language, gestures, how people talk and interact. Because you might talk to someone over a video and then you meet them in person. It's they don't seem like they did online.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, that is something that is definitely missed now. Everybody's missing that.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen reviews of whether people want complete remote working, or or want to go back in the office. And the majority of people want half and half, basically.
Yeah.
They want 2 days of the week in the office and 3 days of the week at home. So I think, people do, there are pluses.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I think there's also a difference in the type of environment you're in. I think if it's a kind of a very creative led studio, there's almost a necessity to at least be on site maybe once or twice a week for that creative collaboration and problem solving. I think if it's kind of a in-house business where you kind of have very, very set structure, you maybe don't need to be on site as much because you have it kind of all laid out for you. I definitely think when we work together, it's Jay, how do you do this? And you'd come over and you point at this and point at that, and you'd figure out how to do it. Whereas it's completely different. You here, share screen, press this, and it just feels kind of not as human.
Yeah. It's a bit. There's not those moments for sure, but I think when I've been doing that, with other people where we haven't been in the office, it's a case of just sharing your screen, and it's not as easy as it is before. But you have to get in that mindset that, you know, you, especially when you were working with people that you know, say English isn't their first language.
Yeah.
You have to, like, there has to be something other than what you say to demonstrate what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think that's a communication challenge for sure.
I definitely think also I've noticed a really good positive is if you're working in much larger companies. Now, I don't know this necessarily too much because most of the remote work I've done is freelancing, but it feels like there's less office politics sometimes. Sometimes you'd walk into an environment and you can sense a little bit of tension, whereas now you're just there to solve the problem and you don't have to be involved in any of the they said that, you know, kind of thing. I think because remote working has forced us to be more solution based a little bit, which is a really positive thing. I don't, obviously everyone's company is different, I guess, but and then the added negativity to that is like if you're joining a company completely remote, I think that's quite tough as well.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that with politics, if you're a freelancer in general, you're not involved in that as much.
Yeah.
And that suits some people, and that you know, doesn't suit others. I think that people who are full time, you know, it may be a bit more difficult than say freelancers.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, definitely. You're also saying that there's an opportunity to increase the talent pool in remote work.
From who I work with, I've you know when I decided to leap back into freelance work, I had conversations with the people that I knew I'd be working with, just to make sure that, you know, I could rely on them for work, but also, you know, what they've experienced.
Yeah.
And I just I think that their point of view is that they're no longer restricted to just London, where it's actually, you know, producers find and companies and small agencies do find it quite difficult to get resource for projects sometimes, especially when it's very busy, because you have like moments where it's really, really busy, and then like parts of the year where it's dead, and it all seems to happen at the same time for some reason.
It's all around the tax year. That's my guess.
Yeah, but there's people that, you know, as you get a bit older, when you get into your 30s or something, you tend to think, oh, where do I want to go? Where would I be happy? So a lot of people, that's near family.
Yeah.
A lot of families aren't in London; they're somewhere else. They're you know, they're up in Scotland or Yorkshire, and I think you know, you start thinking, well, I've got this skill, and you know, if I think that if people have the freedom of doing that, then they tend to just be happy. And I think companies, they have that opportunity to reach those people
internationally
just through remote working. Yeah. And I think the thing with that is that it's kind of proven that it does work now as well. It's kind of accepted.
Even on the time difference thing. So last year I worked for 2 American clients, and at times it was tough because I had to change my sleep pattern a little bit, but it definitely opened doors where I wouldn't have had those doors if the lockdown didn't happen. And I kind of said, well, let's reach out to, you know, elsewhere. And, you know, I was on a Slack and there was this job posted in America. I was like, let's give it a go. You know, I can do it now because everything's remote and people are more open to that. And I'm even trying, you know, I'd be more inclined to email studios across seas now than I would have before, because it's looking for that opportunity elsewhere. And I definitely think people are more responsive to it, and it gives people more flexibility if they have a family and they want to move. I think all those things are massive positives. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's many people that can afford a house in London, for example.
Yeah. I'm ready to leave, man. I'm ready to jump. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
And I don't. I think that's the problem. But yeah, I think there's pluses of living somewhere else.
Definitely.
For sure.
There was one thing I noticed actually working from home, and it's so there's two ways to think about this. Obviously, I'm saving on the commute, and the travel costs. But then I kind of looked at my bill, my electricity bill, and I was like, holy, I've been rendering this whole time. I don't know if you experience the same, but like the amount of electricity you use, like at your home, versus like if you're out 8 hours a day, especially if you're doing heavy 3D renders, and especially so I had an issue. It was last summer where like the machine was just drawing so much. It was so hot, so I had to do the same render like 3 times because it would just crash because of the heat.
Oh God,
it was awful. But that I don't know. Like obviously, you're always going to save more money versus the commute. The commute's always so much more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I think when my commute was like 1.5 hours in, 1.5 hours out, before, and that was I added that up as just over £300 a month.
Oh wow!
Just for that, because it was Zone 9.
Oh, I remember. what was the name of it?
Chesham.
Yes, Chesham. I remember that.
Yeah. So that was Zone 9 into Zone 1 every single day, man. And
that's great. Yeah, I had full respect for you for that.
Had to be done. And yeah, it was. But I think a lot of people, would prefer to work from home, and a lot of companies, the computers that they have, they can just be Macs as well.
Yeah.
If you're doing like sort of higher end CG, or something that just needs to be done quickly. And
I've definitely found I've been able to get iterations of stuff out faster because I have my own build at home. Versus, going on to like an old Mac that hasn't been updated in about 5 years.
Which is a lot of companies actually.
Yeah.
A lot of creative agencies for sure. They're all Mac workflows.
Yeah, which is mad. But do you see yourself definitely staying remote now, like fully, or do you still like that idea of finding a kind of a balance? If you could work on site some of the time.
I think a balance would always be good for sure. I mean, we'll have to see how things go, but I think there's more like you can sense in the industry, and after the conversations that I've been having with a lot of people, there's kind of an openness to it now. Just because I think everybody wants that option.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'd agree with that. Cool. So, will we wrap it up there, or do you have any?
Oh yeah. So what about all the tools? Have we gone through those?
Yeah, the tools. I forgot the tools. Let's do that.
So you've definitely got a better microphone than me. What microphone do you have?
So this is actually a good subject matter. So before
can you show it?
Yeah.
It's just that
it looks way fancier than it is.
You're like a radio host.
I'm not too. So before lockdown hit, I was planning to do the YouTube thing anyway, and it kind of coincided beautifully with this, idea that like if you have a good microphone setup, I definitely think it makes a difference on client calls, and I mean it in like it's so like kind of primal, but your voice is more commanding on the calls. So there's a sense that like if you have a clear, crisp mic, the voice comes through. Whereas if you're on a tinny little laptop mic, the voice, I think it's a small psychological advantage, and it just seems more professional, I think, and clients tend to take you more seriously. It was pure luck I had the microphone when we were going into lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So because I got it originally, it was 3 years ago I got that mic just to kind of start messing around with, YouTube and, have kind of a crisper voice on the channel. And then I got this camera last year, and I wanted to do more vlogging stuff. And I tried it on my phone, and the autofocus kept blurring me, and I couldn't grade it, and it was awful. So I was like, oh, I'll just go out and get a camera, and let's see how it works out. If it's not working for me, it's too expensive, I'll sell it. But the camera worked out beautifully as well, because again, on client calls, you'll get these comments like, "Oh, you look like you're in a movie," because the blurry background. I was like,
I was going to say that's some lovely depth of field that you have in the background there.
It's quite nice. So I suppose it's a nice anecdote when you get on to the call with clients and stuff. It's like, we can have a laugh about it. So yeah, definitely. I definitely think that make it a good chair. I think that's so important, because you're sitting down like 8 hours a day, and you're like, I had a really bad chair. My back was in bits, and I'd consider that a tool, because you're not going to work as efficiently if you have lower back pain.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've definitely got a better chair because of that. I do want a better mic than this one, though, because I think when I see what you mean, I do sound like I'm just in a echoey room. I think with this.
I mean, that mic isn't too bad. I've been on calls, and it just sounds like someone's talking through an empty tin. It's like really weird.
Yeah, like really, really bad. Have you seen Miro?
No, I haven't actually.
That's something to a thing to have a look at. So it's a new company. They recently got a load of investment from Facebook.
Oh, cool.
And it's usually used for UX.
Okay.
But it's, you can use it for sort of art direction. It's basically a collaboration tool where you can just throw things on a board.
Oh.
On a very basic sense.
Okay, cool.
And, sort of user experience or user journeys as well. Yeah. And with social media interacting with digital stuff, you really need to kind of plan that stuff out.
Yeah. Can you export from the actual... because is it in browser that it works?
It's in browser, yeah. So if you just type in Miro and just it'll be the first thing that comes up. But basically, it's just a whiteboard, a dotted whiteboard with you can just pin stuff to that and just brainstorm through that. And for art direction and collaboration, that is just brilliant. It just means that you can kind of just get ideas across better.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I'm just looking at there now. Have you ever heard of Figma?
Oh, maybe.
It sounds a little bit similar to Figma. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I worked on a project last year which used a similar tool, Figma, and it made the process so much faster, because the creative director on the project because he was very digital focused, so everything had to be pixel perfect. He could tweak things in Figma and then output them to me in Figma and make notes, similar to Frame.io for motion graphics. But if you're working with any kind of still-based storyboards and stuff, I think that's like that was a lifesaver actually, because without it, I don't know how we would have got that kind of like pixel perfect stuff right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can see, and I think that's another thing that I actually miss, is just having a board that you just put work on and talk about, like. So yeah,
like dailies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a tool, I don't know if you've heard of, called Hello Bonsai.
No.
So this is a lifesaver if you can afford the subscription. I think it's quite cheap. It's about £13 a month. But if you're busy as a freelancer, what it does is it's kind of a freelance suite, and you can. I don't use all the tools in it, but you can schedule stuff, and you can put your invoices in there. It has all the stuff, templates for these things. But the thing I find it most useful for is doing proposals for clients and outputting contracts. And it's really good because in Hello Bonsai you can you could pick the location you are in the world, and it will give you a contractual template based on where you are in the world and based on your industry, and it lets you change things in the contract, and then you send it to someone and they sign it. And it's the same for the proposal. Really handy tool. And on top of that, you can do all your client management. You can have a list of your clients in there, keep all your emails and, you know, schedules and invoices, and it will link up to your email as well. So if the client signs the contract, it will email you automatically to tell you the project's going ahead and stuff. Really cool tool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Looks really good. What is the subscription on that?
I think it's around £13-14 a month. There's like a tier package, so there's a basic package. And you know, if it's quiet for a few months and you want to save a few bucks, they do allow you pause the subscription, especially now when things are, you know, up and down, which is really handy. It's been a lifesaver because I went to look for contractual templates because, you know, you want to kind of protect yourself, and all these like antiquated sites that you were trying, and I was like, I understand none of this. They just make it super simple, the process.
I mean, I think I don't really regularly do contracts with people.
It's something I think we all should be doing. I found myself in a situation last year where I didn't do a contract and I regretted it instantly. Yeah,
I think it could have saved me from a few pains for sure. But yeah, Hello Bonsai looks really cool.
Very sleek. I'm just looking through our notes here. What's another one? Oh, render farms. Have you been using any render farms?
No, not for the job that I'm on, but have done before. I think well, go ahead. What would you say is
all I tend to do is Google, because I think render farms, you kind of cross your fingers when you send your render to a render farm, because you're like, oh god, what's gonna happen? I can never remember the names of the ones I use, but there's 2 or 3. I have them in my head. I can see them visually at the dashboard. But I tend to just go for the cheapest one because they're so goddamn expensive.
I think Rebus was
that's
always
a good one. Yeah.
But they there's so many to choose from. I know that when I was busting out a last Octane render, I was using Orc, and that wasn't great. It was just skipping loads of frames. Yeah.
Is that that's an Octane product, correct?
Yeah. But I mean, it's I think there's they've got a different one in the works now. But the last one I used was Orc.
Which again brings us back to Unreal Engine. Do you know, like, no one needs a render farm if we're all using Unreal Engine.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to do that. But I think whatever like render solution you go for. I mean, just go for the one that's good for the type of renderer that you're using.
Yeah.
Because some are better than others.
That's really good advice. I've run into trouble because you could see, like, by the front page what renders they prioritize, and if they're not prioritizing your render but they list this, don't go with that one.
That's very true. And I'd say, like, having if you're on GPU, especially if you just have like some nice GPUs, then it's you can get a lot of work done with those, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I'm just going through the notes here, make sure we kind of hit everything. Is there anything else? TeamViewer? I suppose TeamViewer is just a screen share.
Yeah. Like, I think I'd say my favorite one is just Zoom. Actually, I'd say Zoom.
Simple.
My favorite.
Really simple.
Yeah. Who was in the chat or is in the chat? I've actually.
Claudia's there. Miss Fryer Brand 1, Kevin O'Shea, Mark Haynes. Oh, we have 9 viewers.
Wow.
That's 8 more than I thought we'd have.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here and listening to us.
Yeah, right on.
Claudio is saying laptop mics.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah,
Terrible.
yeah.
Cool.
That's true. Pixel Plow. Yeah, Pixel Plow is good.
That's another one that's very
Definitely.
good. But cool, awesome. We'll probably leave it there. I think we've covered mostly everything.
Yeah.
But you're gonna come back and do more of these, aren't you? Hopefully, we'll see. It's month to month at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think might as well, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy the chat.
Yeah, exactly. And we can't see each other in person, so. But you were saying you were going to try and eventually maybe do some interviews on here.
Yeah. I think way back when I was organising meetups for London Motion, there's still a load of people that'd be keen to have a chat, and I'm definitely talking with people that might be interested. But I think it makes it a bit more accessible to just have it all online.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
there's definitely like a good load of contacts that'd be interested in doing this for Bold&Break. So watch this space.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. No, definitely appreciate you coming on the call, having a chat, and hopefully we'll see more of you soon. Brilliant.
Definitely, man.
Take care.